The conflict in Eastern Europe has reached a critical new phase as Russian military forces have officially locked the siege of the strategic city of Pokrovsk, leaving Ukrainian units with almost no opportunity to retreat from the area. After successfully capturing the village of Zaporizhzhia, troops from Moscow advanced northward to seal the encirclement while simultaneously taking control of the village of Ravny. The Russian army is currently developing its offensive positions and clearing the forest belt located between Pokrovsk and Mirnograd to solidify their hold on the sector. In total, Russian forces have secured an additional 9.2 square kilometers of territory in this recent push. Military analysts observe that Russia is changing its operational tactics by expanding its offensive momentum, effectively drawing Ukrainian troops into what is being described as the black hole of Pokrovsk before launching unexpected large-scale attacks elsewhere. This strategy was visible when 9 Russian brigades supported by tactical air forces units and guided aerial bombs launched a breakthrough along a 41-kilometer wide front in the Zaporizhzhia region. This massive surge caused local sections of the Ukrainian defense line to begin collapsing as Russian units concentrate their strength to close the mouth of the bag around the defenders. While Ukraine has launched fierce counterattack to stem the tide, Russia has simultaneously activated a siege campaign in Seversk and transferred 16 Tu-22 M3 strategic bombers carrying supersonic missiles to airfields near the Ukrainian border to intensify the pressure. Parallel to the ground offensive, a significant escalation in the air campaign has targeted major urban centers across Ukraine, aimed at gaining battlefield leverage while political negotiations continue in Geneva. Russian forces have unleashed large waves of drones and missiles on cities like Kyiv and Kharkiv, igniting fires and causing casualties among the civilian population. Ukrainian officials have reported serious attempts by Russian troops to force withdrawals in the Kharkiv region and noted the loss of several villages in the south, although they insist that key defensive fronts have not yet been fully breached. On the ground, in the newly captured sectors of Pokrovsk, the situation for civilians remained dire. The Russian Ministry of Defense has released footage showing its troops patrolling damaged neighborhood and speaking with residents who remain in the city. Some local expressed relief at the arrival of Russian units, while others showed soldiers makeshift grave sites in courtyard where they had buried neighbors during weeks of heavy shelling. Residents described spending more than a year sheltering in basements to avoid fighting, citing fear of drones and alleged threats from Ukrainian troops as reasons for staying on the ground. The Russian Center group of forces stated it is now distributing aid to these civilians, though the Ukrainian government has not commented on these specific Russian claims regarding the situation in Pokrovsk. In the diplomatic arena, the political landscape is shifting rapidly as global powers react to a new peace initiative. Belarusian Foreign Minister Maxim Ryzhenkov met with his Russian counterpart in Moscow to declare full support for Russia's position, insisting that lasting peace requires the complete and irreversible elimination of the root causes of the war. Ryzhenkov and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov highlighted the deep coordination between their nations across major international organizations, including the United Nations and BRICS. Both ministers criticized the European approach to the conflict, accusing the European Union of pursuing militarization and sanctions that destabilize regional security. These statements coincide with reports that Ukraine has received a draft of a 28-point peace plan from the administration of President Donald Trump. Sergei Lavrov confirmed that Moscow views the Trump-led plan positively, noting that it appears to be based on understanding reached during a summit in Anchorage, Alaska. Lavrov delivered a harsh rebuke to European leaders, stating that a return to the Minsk process is impossible, and accusing former French and German leaders of using past agreement merely to buy time to arm Ukraine. He further alleged that officials in Brussels are attempting to undermine President Trump's initiative through calculated leaks and media manipulations. The proposed peace plans has triggered a complex response from Western European leaders who are navigating the delicate balance between supporting Ukraine and engaging with the new administration in Washington. French President Emmanuel Macron stated that President Trump's peace plan is moving in the right track, but requires significant improvement before it can be accepted by Kyiv and Europe. Macron emphasized that while the initiative heads in the correct direction to achieve peace, specific points regarding territorial concessions and military limits needs to be negotiated to avoid a surrender-style peace. The draft proposal handed to Ukraine on November 20th reportedly includes demands for Ukraine to abandon the Donbas region, accept limits on the size of its armed force, and halt its pursuit of NATO membership. Macron argued that only the Ukrainian people can decide if they are willing to make such territorial sacrifice. He warned that while the plan helps visualize conditions acceptable to Russia, many clauses are not currently acceptable to Europe or Ukraine. This diplomatic friction highlights the intense information war currently underway, with Russian officials accusing Western nations of deliberately distorting the plan to sabotage the negotiations, while European leaders warn against any deal that sidelines their security concerns. Tensions between Moscow and the West were further illuminated during a sweeping and confrontational interview given by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who challenged Western narrative regarding the conflict, NATO expansion, and the United Nations. Lavrov claimed that the recent meeting in Alaska with United States envoy Steve Witkoff delivered settlement parameters directly from President Trump that finally acknowledged Russia's demands to address the root cause of the conflict. He accused the United States and Europe of trying to dictate their will and using Ukraine to pursue a strategic defeat of Russia, warning that Europe has become dangerously dependent on Washington for its foreign policy. Lavrov criticized leaders such as Emmanuel Macron and the German defense leadership for their arrogant positions, while praising Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico as a reasonable voice within Europe. He dismissed warning that Russia intends to attack NATO countries in the coming years as baseless attempts to create fear. Furthermore, Lavrov insisted that Moscow is not rushing back to negotiation and will wait until the West clearly states its objective, while also alleging that corruption is rampant among officials managing aid to Ukraine. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. Given the confirmation that Russian forces have successfully encircled Pokrovsk and are collapsing defense lines in Zaporizhzhia, do you believe the Trump-led peace plan, which essentially trades captured territory for an immediate ceasefire, is the only realistic options left to save the Ukrainian state from total defeat? Or do you agree with European leaders that this strategy is merely a disguised surrender that will embolden Russia to attack again in the future? And why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate your support. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Like the video, share this video with friends and family, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.